a diary in the form of art, a recreation of her beliefs, feelings, and personal events through her unique lens, creating something both unique and universal. She found a way to present an original vision with great intelligence and artistic skill. With the philosophy of living life to the fullest, for her there are no barriers between the public and the private. Ladies and gentlemen, in historical review, Frida Kahlo. Frida, you are an icon in art history. How do you see your role among so many famous artists?
It is an honor to be considered an icon in art history, especially among so many talented and influential artists. My role is that of a unique voice that stands out for the authenticity and emotional depth of my works. I did not worry about following trends or fitting into specific artistic movements. My art is a direct expression of my life, my pains, and my passions. I believe my uniqueness and the honesty with which I portray my personal experiences set me apart and make me relevant. I wanted to show the world the true essence of being human, with all its imperfections and complexity. And I believe this resonates with many people.
How and when did you start painting?
Since I was a child, I painted. Art was already a refuge for me. I spent a lot of time at home because I suffered a lot of bullying for having one leg shorter than the other due to contracting polio at the age of 6. One of my favorite activities was painting. But I really started painting at 18 after a bus accident in 1925 that nearly took my life. I was left with multiple fractures and injuries, and spent a lot of time in recovery, often immobilized in bed. To pass the time and deal with the pain, my mother brought me a special easel and a mirror placed above my bed, allowing me to see myself while I painted. This period of immobility and introspection was when I began to portray myself and explore my creativity through painting. Art became a form of therapy for me, a way to express my emotions and face my adversities.
So from childhood, your life was challenging?
The Blue House welcomed Magdalena Carmen Frida Kahlo y Calderón on July 6, 1907. At that time, Coyoacán was a small town on the outskirts of Mexico City, a place of rest and relaxation that retained its sense of tranquility even after the revolution erupted in 1910. Given this, Coyoacán should have been the perfect place for a happy childhood. But pain and suffering marked my life from a very young age. In 1913, with polio and the nickname Frida Wooden Leg at school, the disease isolated me from the outside world. Family's finances also suffered as the revolution progressed, and there were times when my parents had to mortgage the house, sell the furniture, and even rent rooms just to survive.
Before the accident, what were your plans? What profession did you want to pursue?
Before the accident, I had very different plans for my life. I wanted to be a doctor. I was studying at the National Preparatory School of Mexico and had a great interest in biology and medicine. My goal was to enter medical school and pursue a career as a doctor, helping people and contributing to science. However, the accident completely changed the course of my life. Although I did not pursue the path of medicine, I found in art a way to heal my soul and share my vision of the world.
You recovered. Why did you give up on medicine?
After the accident, my recovery was long and full of challenges. Although I made progress, the pain and physical limitations became a constant in my life. This changed my perspective and priority. During my recovery, painting became a crucial form of expression in coping with pain. Realizing the impact and importance that art had for me, I decided to dedicate my life to it. Additionally, my constant medical consultations and treatments made continuing medical studies unfeasible. Art not only offered me a new career, but also a way to express my emotions and life experiences. So even after recovery, I realized that medicine was no longer the right path for me. Painting had become my true passion and vocation.
So the accident was a significant event for the rest of your life. Besides almost dying, you were left with severe sequelae?
Yes, the accident profoundly and permanently marked my life. Besides nearly losing my life, I was left with severe physical sequelae. I suffered multiple fractures in my spine, clavicle, and ribs, as well as injuries to my pelvis, legs, and foot. These injuries left me with chronic pain for the rest of my life and required numerous surgeries and long periods of recovery.
Who brought art into your life? Was anyone in your family an artist?
Art entered my life more intensely after the accident, but I was exposed to a creative environment at home from an early age. My father, Diego Kahlo, had a great influence on me. He was a photographer and had a great appreciation for visual arts. I remember spending a lot of time in his studio, watching him work and learning about composition and the beauty of detail. Although he was not a painter, his artistic sensitivity and constant support were fundamental to my development as an artist. Moreover, the rich and vibrant culture of Mexico was always present in our home, which also deeply influenced my work.
Did you also amputate a leg? Your friend Andres Henestrosa mentioned that you lived dying.
Yes, unfortunately, I had to amputate my right leg below the knee in 1953 due to complications from an infection. It was an extremely difficult moment for me, not only physically but also emotionally. The loss of the leg was a devastating blow, aggravating the pains and limitations I already faced. My friend Andres Henestrosa was right when he said, "I lived dying." My life was marked by a series of sufferings and challenges, from the bus accident to numerous surgeries and health complications. However, despite everything, I always found strength in my art. Painting was my way of resisting and expressing my continuous struggle against pain and adversity. Each work is a testament to my resilience and will to live despite so much suffering.
Can you list your main works for us?
The Two Fridas, 1939. This is one of my most famous paintings, depicting two versions of myself, one with an exposed heart and the other with an intact heart, symbolizing my divided identity and conflicting emotions. The Broken Column, 1944. This powerful painting shows me with a broken ionic column instead of my spine, representing the physical pain I faced throughout my life. Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird, 1940. In this self-portrait, I depicted myself with a thorn necklace piercing my neck, symbolizing my suffering. A dead hummingbird hangs from the necklace, and a black cat in the background adds elements of mysticism and pain. The Wounded Deer, 1946. I portray a deer wounded by several arrows, symbolizing my physical and emotional pain, yet I keep moving forward. Henry Ford Hospital, 1932. This painting depicts me in a hospital bed after a miscarriage, surrounded by symbolic images representing loss and pain. Without Hope, 1945. Lying in bed, forced to eat food that symbolizes my state of hopelessness and continuous suffering. My Nurse and I, 1937. This work shows me as a child being breastfed by an indigenous wet nurse, reflecting themes of motherhood and cultural identity. The Bus, 1929. Painting representing various people on a bus, reflecting the diversity of Mexican society. Self-Portrait with Cropped Hair, 1940. After a temporary separation from Diego, I painted myself with short hair and masculine attire, challenging gender norms of the time. Diego on My Mind, 1943. A self-portrait where I have Diego Rivera's face on my forehead, symbolizing his constant presence in my thoughts. These works highlight the emotional depth and uniqueness of my art, showing how I used painting to explore and express personal experiences and pains.
Did you want your image to be the focus of your creative production?
It's not about wanting my image to be the focus, but rather that I couldn't have painted any other way. All passions and convictions were filtered through myself. I never made abstract statements, only personal ones, which obviously explains the power to speak to people.
Frida, you are one of the few artists whose work is immediately recognizable.
Even to those who are not art lovers, when they encounter the self-portrait with a single eyebrow and Mexican references, they recognize that it's mine. But the self-portraits go far beyond the famous eyebrow. Within the often surprisingly small paintings, I presented the viewer with vivid presentations of the sufferings and joys I lived. I started with self-image and added humanity to everything I thought, which obviously explains the power to reach people's emotions.
What else did you depict in your art? What subjects were most addressed?
The themes were divided between personal and political, and in most paintings, they are intertwined. On the political side, I raised the flag of Mexican nationalism, literally in the painting Self-Portrait on the Borderline Between Mexico and the United States, 1932. But even when revealing personal feelings, I also demonstrated the nationalist concerns I had.
How did politics manifest in your work?
My work is imbued with nationalist and leftist politics. Even an apparently innocent piece like the self-portrait I made for Trotsky, self-portrait dedicated to Leon Trotsky, after the brief romance we had, is shaped by the Mexican versions of Baroque portrait. Look at any image, and the clothes, animals, jewelry, mythical references, and borrowings from folk art reveal a commitment to the history, products, and beliefs of Mexico.
In what ways can we see feminist attitudes in your work? Is there any particular painting that reveals this?
My work is often seen as a reflection of my feminist attitudes, even though I did not explicitly identify with the feminist movement of my time. My paintings explore themes of identity, female body, pain and strength, challenging gender norms and social expectation. My self-portraits are a powerful affirmation of my identity and autonomy. By portraying myself repeatedly, I assert my presence and individuality in a world that often underestimates women. I do not hide my pain and suffering. On the contrary, I put them on display. This is a way to challenge the expectation that women should always be strong and silent about their personal struggles. In works like Self-Portrait with Short Hair, 1940, I challenge beauty norms and traditional gender roles. By cutting my hair and wearing masculine clothes, I question the expectations of femininity imposed on women. Paintings like My Nurse and I, 1937, and Henry Ford Hospital, 1932, address motherhood, abortion, and the complexities of the female body, bringing to light issues that are often overlooked. I wore Mexican clothes without caring about dictated fashion. Besides, I related to whoever I wanted without worrying about taboos. I refused to be crushed or silenced and dominated my physical space.
Your preferred style, most represented in your works, was the typical Mexican one, more specifically from Tehuantepec. What was the influence of the Zapotecs?
Yes, the Mexican style, and more specifically the Tehuantepec style, had a significant influence on my life and work. The Zapotec culture of Tehuantepec fascinated me for its richness, traditions, and the strength of the women in that region. Zapotec women are known for their independence, power, and central role in society, traits I always admired and wanted to incorporate into my own life. I adopted the traditional Tehuana dress, which includes long embroidered skirts and colorful huipilas blouses. This style of dress not only celebrated my Mexican heritage, but also allowed me to assert my identity and strength as a woman. The use of these garments became a trademark of mine, present in many of my self-portraits. The Zapotec culture deeply valued the connection to the land, nature, and ancestral traditions. Incorporating these elements into my paintings was a way to express my pride in Mexican culture and connect with my indigenous roots. Elements like flowers, animals, and traditional symbols frequently appear in my works. The Zapotec women of Tehuantepec are symbols of resistance and power. They play leadership roles in the economy and society, contrasting with the traditional gender expectations in other parts of Mexico. Inspired by them, I always sought to represent the strength and resilience of women in my works, challenging patriarchal norms. My art often explores themes of national and cultural identity. By adopting the Zapotec style and symbols, I was making a statement about the importance of valuing and celebrating Mexican culture. My painting, Self-Portrait as a Tehuana, is a clear example of this influence, where I portray myself in traditional dress, highlighting my connection to Tehuantepec.
We notice that beyond your painting, your clothes, hair, and jewelry reflect an artistic manifestation, a true style that has influenced many designers.
Yes, for me, the way I dress, style my hair, and choose my jewelry is an extension of my artistic expression. My personal style is a way to manifest my identity, my cultural roots, and my resistance. My personal style has influenced many designers over the years. They see in me a unique combination of strength, vulnerability, and authenticity. My appearance has become iconic, not only for its aesthetic beauty, but also for what it represents: a woman who challenges norms and embraces her identity with pride.
How did you portray disability in your self-portraits?
Physical pain was a part of almost my entire life. I am a painter of pain. The Broken Column, 1944, is an image of me encased in a steel brace after spinal surgery. My body is present in every work. When I am well, I look at the viewer, made up and dressed to face the world. In moments of pain, like in the case of Diego's betrayal with my sister, I spare nothing. Not even the severed hand and injured foot in the painting Memory, 1937.
Are you enjoying the interview? Don't forget to leave a like. This will strengthen the channel, helping us bring more content like this. Can you tell us a bit about your mother and your relationship with her?
My mother, Matilde Calderon, was a very strong and religious woman who faced many difficulties in her life. She was practical and disciplined, and her faith was a central pillar in our family. Although our relationship was somewhat complex, as we had very different personalities, I deeply admired her strength and resilience. Matilde cared for me with great affection during my illnesses and recoveries. She was the one who provided me with the special easel and mirror when I was bedridden after the bus accident, which was crucial for me to start painting. However, there were also moments of tension, as our worldviews and interests often clashed. Despite the differences, her support in crucial moments of my life was indispensable, and I will always acknowledge that.
Did Matilde Calderon witness your success?
My mother, Matilde Calderon, unfortunately, did not live to see the peak of my success as an artist. She passed away in 1932 when I was still finding my way in the art world. At that time, I was still in the process of discovering and developing my unique style. However, during the years she was alive, she saw me start to paint and witnessed some of my first exhibitions. She was always a pillar of support, even if she did not fully understand the direction my life was taking. I wish she had lived to see the recognition my works have gained over the years, as I know she would have been proud of me.
And your father, was he German?
Yes, my father, Guillermo Kahlo, was born in Germany on October 26, 1871, in the city of Pforzheim. His birth name was Karl Wilhelm Kahlo. He emigrated to Mexico as a young man in 1891, where he adopted the name Guillermo to better adapt to Mexican culture. My father was a photographer and had a significant influence on my life and artistic development. Despite our different cultural backgrounds, there was always a deep respect and admiration between us. He supported me a lot, especially during my periods of illness and recovery, and his influence was fundamental to my growth as an artist and as a person.
Once you mentioned that your parents were unhappy and that your house was sad, do you believe your sick and sad life was a continuation of your parents' lives?
Yes, I once said that my parents were unhappy and that our house had an air of sadness. My mother, Matilde Calderon, was a very religious and strict woman, while my father, Guillermo Kahlo, faced his own health and financial challenges. The atmosphere in our house was often tense and fraught with difficulty. I believe that, in some ways, my sick and sad life was a continuation of the challenges my parents faced. From an early age, I was exposed to illness and a constant atmosphere of struggle. My own body became a battlefield, starting with polio in childhood, and later the bus accident that changed my life forever. Despite this, I also believe that my art was a way to transcend this sadness and find beauty and meaning amid the pain. Painting allowed me to transform my difficult experiences into something powerful and expressive. Although I inherited many challenges, I also found a way to face them and create something that could inspire and touch others.
And Diego Rivera, your husband, ex-husband, and husband again, can you tell us about him?
Diego Rivera was a central figure in my life, both personally and artistically. We met in 1928 when I approached him to show my paintings and seek his opinion. He was impressed with my work, and from there we began an intense relationship that turned into marriage the following year, in 1929. Our relationship was complex and tumultuous. Diego was a passionate and charismatic man, but also unfaithful, unpredictable. I had to deal with his numerous infidelities, including an affair with my own sister, Christina. Despite this, our love was deep and genuine. I also had my own extramarital affairs with both men and women, which shows the free and independent nature of our relationship. Diego was a significant influence on my artistic career. He encouraged me to explore my own voice and style, and always supported me as an artist. His monumental work and commitment to Mexican muralism influenced my views on art and culture. Conversely, he also learned a lot from me, especially about the importance of personal expression and introspection in art. We married twice, first time in 1929, and we separated in 1939 due to infidelities and conflict. However, we couldn't stay away from each other, and married again in 1940. Our relationship was marked by highs and lows, but there was always an unbreakable bond between us.
So turbulent that you found a way, in your second marriage, to live together but in different houses connected by a bridge.
The houses were connected by a bridge on the second floor, allowing each of us to have our own space and privacy, yet remain connected. This setup gave us the freedom to be ourselves and to focus on our artistic work, while still being able to meet and spend time together whenever we wanted. To me, this arrangement symbolized our unique relationship, two independent and passionate people, bonded by a deep love and a literal bridge representing our ongoing connection.
The ceremony of your first wedding was an example of this tumult, starting with your wedding dress. Was it the first time you deviated from the norm?
Yes. The ceremony of my first marriage to Diego Rivera was a reflection of the tumultuous and unconventional nature of our relationship. I chose to wear a traditional Mexican wedding dress instead of the typical white bridal gown. This was one of the first examples of how I challenged societal norms and expectations. The Tehuana dress became a trademark of my personal style, symbolizing my connection to indigenous roots and Mexican culture. The ceremony itself was also quite peculiar. Our wedding took place on August 21st, 1929, and was a simple event without much formality, reflecting our free-spirited and unconventional nature. Many of our friends and family had doubts about our union, given the 20-year age difference and our strong personality. However, we were determined to follow our own path, regardless of external opinions. This attitude of challenging norms and following what we believed to be right for us marked not only our marriage, but also our entire life together, and our artistic careers. It was the beginning of an intense and passionate journey, full of highs and lows.
One phase of the couple's life was spent outside of Mexico. Where did you go, and why did you choose to live away from your country?
Yes, Diego and I spent a significant phase of our lives outside of Mexico, primarily in the United States. Between 1930 and 1934, we lived in various American cities, including San Francisco, Detroit, and New York. The decision to live away from Mexico was mainly motivated by political persecution. Mexico was going through a period of instability, and the opportunity to work abroad offered a more stable environment for artistic creation. Diego received several commissions to create murals in the United States, which represented a great opportunity for him to expand his work and artistic influence. These commissions included murals at the City Club of San Francisco, the Detroit Institute of Arts, and the Rockefeller Center in New York. For me, I had the opportunity to hold my own exhibitions and interact with American artists and intellectuals. Our stay in the United States was marked by ups and downs. While Diego was immersed in his monumental work, I faced personal and health challenges. I suffered a miscarriage in Detroit, which was a deeply painful experience that influenced some of my most famous work, such as Henry Ford Hospital. At the same time, my health continued to deteriorate, and I often felt isolated and homesick for Mexico. Despite the difficulties, this phase was crucial for our artistic and personal development. The experiences we had and the people we met in the United States left a lasting mark on our lives.
Frida, it was a great pleasure talking to you. I could confirm why you are considered an intelligent, strong, deep woman and a fantastic artist. Thank you for being with us on Resena Historica.
Pleasure was all mine. I am very happy to be able to share a little of my life and my art with you. It is an honor to be remembered and recognized for my work and my journey. I hope my story inspires others to find strength and beauty in their own lives, even in the face of adversity. Thank you very much for this conversation and for the space to express my thoughts and feelings. See you next time.
I hope you enjoyed the interview. Please leave a like and follow Resena Historica for more content like this.